Hello guys, welcome to this new video and we are going to continue configure this MegaLab as you can see over here. And in the video before it was a little bit of a long video, but we did some EIGRP troubleshooting. The VPCS was not working, so that I had to add a microcore Linux. Um, and then EIGRP was not working, so we fixed EIGRP. And then at the end we added the AAA TACACS server, and we were able to tone it to every single one of the routers using um, TACACS and also logging in with the backup when TACACS was not working. So that one was working, and I have only configured EIGRP on this side. So on this video, we are going to configure OSPF, and we're also going to be assigning some loopback addresses. So for router 432, and also for router 1, which is this one right here. I'm going to add loopback address 1.1.1.1, 2.2.2.2, 3.3.3, and 4.4.4, so we can tone it using those IP addresses, and therefore I will know where I'm going to tone it instead of just looking at the IP addresses. So let's go ahead and log into router 4 from my microcore Linux. And to log into this, we need to tone it to router 4, which is 172.16.1.2. And if you did not see the video before, in the video before we set up TACACS authentication, and as you can see, I was able to authenticate using my TACACS account. So if you have not seen the video, go ahead and watch that video. Otherwise, you're going to be lost. Okay, log into router 4. Let's go to config T, and then let's go ahead to interface. We're going to configure a loopback address, IP address of 4.4.4.4, and then let's go ahead to router EIGRP and add it to that EIGRP as well, 10. And then from here, let's go ahead to network, 4.4.4.4. There it is. So that network has been added there. So now if you go to N, save it, save in the configuration, go ahead and exit out of here. And now if we tone it to 4.4.4.4, we should be able to tone it to router 4, GNS3, GNS3, Cisco, enable, and then Cisco. There you go. So now it's able to remote into router 4. Now let's go ahead and exit, and then let's go ahead and remote into telnet to router 3. Um, and I'm doing this because I wanted to do it like a real scenario. Um, 172.16, I want to say 68.16. I'm doing it like this because it is like a real scenario, like you are working from your station and logging into the routers. And whenever we're going to configure router 5, 6, and 7, we're going to send somebody so they can configure 5, 6, and 7. Okay, but for now, I'm just doing it from my computer, right, for my office. So we are remoting into router 3. Now let's go ahead and enable Cisco config T. Let's configure a loopback address here too, an IP address of 3.3.3.3. Let's go to router EIGRP 10 network 3.3.3.3. There you go. End it, save it, and then let's go to exit and try to telnet to router 3. There we go. I'm able to do that. Now let's go ahead to do it on also router 2. So telnet to 172.16.5.2. Config T, interface loopback. For router 2, 2.2.2.2. router EIGRP 10. Now let's go ahead and save it, and then we're going to exit out of it and then try to tone it to it using that IP address. There we go. So it is working. There we go. So exit, and now let's go ahead and remote into router 1. 192.168.1.1 because it's the default gateway. Cisco conft interface loopback 0 IP address 1.1.1.1 255.255.255 router EIGRP 10 network 1.1.1.1 and save it. So we are saving our configuration, okay? And now let's go ahead and do a, let's see what we can do. Exit. Let's try to telnet to it. So telnet. There we go. We're able to telnet. DNS3. And I put the wrong password. DNS3. DNS3. Enable Cisco. There we go. So now let's do a show IP interface brief. So as you can see, Gigabit 00 and 01 are configured. We have not configured 02 and 03. So let's go ahead and come up with the IP addresses for this. So these IP addresses, we are going to use the 10 network. So let's go ahead and do 10.10.10. Actually, .1.1 for this side. This one's going to be .2. .2.1. This one's going to be .2.2. Now let's go ahead and move over here. This one's going to be .3.1. Or actually, let's just leave it at 3.2. And this one will be .3.1. Okay, this one's going to be .4.1. And .4.2. 4.2. Okay. So this is good. Now let's go ahead and open our router 1 and let's go ahead to config T and let's configure those interfaces. So gigabit 0/3, the first one. The IP address for this one is 10.10.10.1 /30, so 252. Now shut down. Okay, and then let's go ahead and configure gigabit 02, IP address of 2.1. Now shut down. And let's go ahead to router EIGRP 10 at the network 10.10.1.0, 3 and 2.0. And now let's go ahead and end it. Let's go ahead and save it. And now I want to exit and I want to remote in into router 4 and verify that we have that new network. So if we do router, or not router, let's do show, if I know how to spell it, show IP route. So now we should see that new route over here, the 10 network, 10.10.1 and 10.10.2. So that's great, it is there. So that's great. So now let's go ahead and exit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my assistant, and I'm going to tell him to configure router 5 with its IP addresses, and then router 6 and router 7, and also configure host name and we need to configure OSPF. So actually, I need to go to telnet into router 1 and DNS3 because I configured that wrong. Enable Cisco config G, and let's go ahead to router EIGRP 10 and the network 10.10.10.1.0. This network should now be here, so let's go ahead and delete it, and also delete the .2 network because they are supposed to be in OSPF. So now, what I need to do, let's go ahead and router OSPF, press ID of 1, no auto summary, oops, no auto cost. Actually, we do not do no auto summary here. Um, so let's go do auto cost, that's fine. Um, then let's add the network 10.10.10.1.3. We need to assign it to area 0. So this one is going to be area 0 right here. This one's going to be area 1. Apply, okay. This one's going to be area 2. Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to my um, computer, my micro core Linux, and let's configure also the 10.10. So I configure this wrong, so it needs to be, let's say no, and let's add it again. This one needs to be .1.0. I don't know why I added 10.10.10.1. It's .1.0, and then let's add the other network, which is 10.10.2.0. There we go. So now I'm going to send my assistant, and I'm going to tell him to configure router 5 with these IP addresses and put it on area 0, this one in area 1, and this one in area 2. So he's going to go ahead and go first to router 5. So let's go ahead and open router 5, router 6, and router 7. Okay, so he's going to console into them, and he's going to give it a host name for router 5 of R5. And then he's going to configure interface. Let's configure the loopback address first, an IP address of 5.5.5.5, up 255.255.255.255. And then he's going to go to interface gigabit 0/3. And from here, we're going to configure IP address 10.10.1.2/32. Now shut down. So now I should be able to ping 10.10.1.1. Great, so he's able to ping from router 5, he's able to ping router 1, so this is great. So now let's go ahead to Gigabit 02 and configure IP address of 10.10.2.2. Now shut down. Now we should be able to do ping 10.10.2.1. And he's able to do that. So that's great. Now we have to do router. And we need to configure OSPF, press ID of 1, network. We need to configure 10.10.1.0, 3, area 0, and 10.10.2.0, walk car of 0.0.03, area 0. There we go. So we have formed two network relationship, as you can see right here, with OSPF with router 1. And then the next one that we need to do is network 5.5.5.5, added to area 0. There we go. So now let's go ahead and end it, and let's save it. Saving our configuration. So if we go to view on router 1 and show IP routes, I should be able to see now OSPF's routes. Or we do not see any. Oh, we only see one because we can only see the loopback addresses, but the rest of them are directly connected, like this one's over here. We have um, this one is directly connected with router 1, so it's not going to be an OSPF. The only one in OSPF is going to be the loopback address. The other one are going to be local and directly connected, okay? So now he's going to keep configuring this router. So I'll config T, and let's configure this IP address interface gigabit 0/0 IP address of 10.10.3.2.252. Now shut down, and now let's go to router OSPF port ID of 1. Let's add network 10.10.3.0 3, and this is going to be area 1. Okay, so this is great. Now we need to configure TACACS. So I have the configuration over here, so all I'm going to do is just copy and paste it. But before I do that, I need to configure router. I need to change this to router 5, all of them, and this one over here as well. And I'm going to leave this TACACS configuration in the description below if you want to use it. So on router 5, you're just going to go ahead and paste that over here. Let's go ahead and paste that again. Okay, so now I should be able to log into router 5. So let's see if from my micro, let's go ahead and exit. Let's go ahead and telnet to 5.5.5.5. And it looks like we're not able to telnet to 5.5.5.5. It's probably going to um, time out. So let's just give it a couple seconds, maybe a minute, or maybe 2 minutes. So since I know it's going to time out, let's go ahead to router 5. And from router 5, let's go ahead and do an show IP OSPF interfaces. Let's go ahead and interface loopback 0. Can I do that? Yep. So we see that loopback is this one, and it is in area 0. This one still hasn't. Okay. So I just stop it with Control C. Let's try to ping 5.5.5.5. Okay. So I'm not able to do that because the 192.168.1.1 network is in EIGRP and 5.5.5.5 is in OSPF. So I need to redistribute before I can do anything, or before I can ping or telnet to the OSPF network. So we have to go to router 1. So let's go ahead and roll into router 1, telnet 1.1.1.1, DNS3, DNS3, enable Cisco, config T. Now let's go ahead and do route redistribution. So router EIGRP 10, and I want to redistribute OSPF port ID of 1. We want to do metric, and then it's going to ask us for the bandwidth. So we need to find the bandwidth for gigabit 03. So if we do show IP interface, let's do show IP interface gigabit 0/3 do. So when you do this, you're going to find all the information that you need. We are going to need the bandwidth. We are going to need the delay and the MTU, the reliability, and also the load. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that again. Redistribute OSPF port ID of 1 metric. It's going to ask us for the bandwidth. So here's the bandwidth. Copy it, paste it over here. Then it's going to ask us for a delay. The delay is 10. Then we are going to get the reliability, which is 255. And then it's going to ask us for the load, and the load is 1. And the last one is MTU, which is 1500, unless you have manually configured, but it's always 1500. Here it is. And then that's it. Now after that, we need to go to router OSPF, port ID of 1, and we need to redistribute AIGRP, put autonomous system 10, and we want to do a metric of 1, and then we are going to do subnets. Okay, so now what I want to do, let's go ahead and end it and do from here, let's do and save it. Then after I save this configuration, I want to go to router 4. So let's go to telnet 2. Actually, let's exit telnet to router 4. And what's going to happen is router 4 now should be able to get GNS, or not GNS, EIGRP external route. And if you do show IP route, and let's just only do EIGRP so we don't get a lot. And as you can see over here, we are getting external networks. And now since we are getting those external networks, now we should be able to, I believe, telnet or ping from our micro core Linux. So let's go ahead and try to ping 5.5.5.5. And there we go. So now we're able to ping it. And now we should be able to telnet into it. 5.5.5.5. And there we go. GNS3, GNS3, and then enable Cisco. So now we are able to remote it into router 5 because we did route redistribution. So let's go ahead and exit and let's keep configuring. So this router 5, let's go ahead and save it. Now let's go ahead to router 6. Or actually, let me do, I don't remember what I did, show IP interface brief to make sure that I have configured what I need. So I configure Gigabit 01. That's good. Let's see, show run section OSPF section OSPF. Let's see if we added that network as well. So yeah, we added it and we added to router 1. So let's go ahead and save it again. And let's go ahead to router 6. So my assistant is going to router 6 now. Config T, hostname, router 6. Let's configure interface loopback 0 to have an IP address of 6.6.6. And then after that, what I want to do, let's go ahead to interface gigabit/0 and configure that IP address of 10.10.3.1/30, so 252. Let's give it a no shutdown. And then router 6, you also have configure Gigabit 01, and it should be in the 10.10.4.1, no shutdown. Then after that, let's go ahead and configure router OSPF 1, and then let's do the networks, which is 10.10.3.0, and this one should be in area 1. And after that, we should form a neighbor relationship with router 5. There it is. With router 5, if we do show IP OSPF neighbor, we see that we have our neighbor, which is 5.5.5.5, which is the loopback address. So that is working great. And the priority is 1, and it's full, and the state is the designated router. And then after that is configured, we need to configure also default network, but this one is going to be in area 2. And also that let's configure the 6.6.6.6 to area 1. Okay, so then after that, let's go ahead and configure, oh, let's go ahead and, yeah, let's go ahead and configure that AAA server. And I always forget, let's go ahead and change that to router 6, router 6, router 6, and also router 6 over here. Let's go ahead and copy this, paste it. Let's go ahead and paste it again. There we go. So now let's go ahead and end it and save it. And now let's see, my assistant is going to text me and he's going to tell me to try to remote into router 6 now. So let's go ahead and remote into router 6. So telnet 6.6.6.6. There we go. GNS3, GNS3, Cisco. Oops, enable Cisco. There we go. So exit. So I was able to do it. So I'm going to text him and I'm going to tell him that yes, I was able to turn it to router 6 and I'm going to tell him to move up to router 7 so that he's going to go to router 7 and configure router 7. Config T, um, interface loopback 0, IP address 7.7.7.7, and then it's going to go to interface gigabit 0/1, which is this one right here, and the IP address 10.10.4.2 slash 255.255.255.252. Now shut down. Now he should be able to ping 10.10.4.1, which is router 6. So here it is. He was able to ping router 6. Now he needs to do router OSPF voice ID 1 network. When he needs to do a network 10.10.4.0 3, and the area is 2. There we go. We have form enable relationship, and now he should be able. We shouldn't be able to telnet yet because we need to add the 7 network, that loopback address to OSPF as well. 7.7.7.7. Not 255. It needs to be a walker mask. Area 2. So now let's go ahead and also exit. Let's do a host name of R7 and let's go ahead and save our configuration. Also, let's save that configuration over here in router 6. Let's plug back into router 7. And from router 7, let's go ahead and do a config T. And let's go ahead and add the TACACS configuration so we can telnet to it. Copy, paste, and then paste it again. And you have to, I believe I'm just pasting that again because I get this router 7 is not defined, and I think it says it is not defined because it takes a little bit to for the group to be configured. And since I'm pasting it again, then it gives it that time, and then I don't get that error anymore. So now let's go ahead and see if we are able to telnet. And after we telnet to it, we're going to save the configuration. And it's saying cannot remote to host 7. So I'm going to text him back and I'm going to say that we're not able to telnet to router 7. And he's going to go back to router 7 and he's going to check his configuration. So let's go ahead and end show IP interface brief. Okay, so we have that loopback address. Let's just do show IP OSPF neighbor. So we have that neighbor relationship. So that's great. Now let's go ahead and show run section um, OSPF. Let's see if we added it correctly. And it looks like we did. Let's try to ping 7.7.7. And it looks like we're not able to ping 7.7.7.7. And why is that? Let's go ahead and he's going to text me and he's going to tell me to remote into router 5. So I'm going to remote into router 5 and it's going to tell me to take a look at the routing table for router 5. And let's go ahead and show IP route OSPF only. And we do not see that 7 over here. I'm going to text him back. I'm going to be, hey, I cannot see that 7 network over here. And then it's going to text me back. It's going to be, go ahead and remote into router 6. So let's go ahead and do that. Exit, telnet to router 6, DNS3, DNS3, enable Cisco show IP into show IP or show IP route or SPF. And we can see it from here. Okay. So this is the way um, OSPF was designed. If an area is not directly connected into the area 0, um, then we won't allow this network into router 5 because that's how OSPF was designed. I believe this is called a stub. Is it a stub? It's not a stub. But for some reason we cannot get those, or we cannot get that. We cannot get that network. So what we need to do, we need to configure a virtual link so it can look like we are directly connected. And then after that, it should work. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's going to go to router 7. No, actually, I'm going to just do it from router 6. So I need to connect router 6 with router 5 because area 1 is the transit area. So these two need to be directly connected. So let's go ahead and do from my micro Linux. Let's go ahead and configure that virtual link. Config T, router OSPF 1. And we need to do, let's see if I remember, we need to do, I think it's area, what is it, area 1, virtual link. And then we need to give it, we need to give it the IP address to router 5, so it's 10.10.3.2. And since we are directly connecting area 1 or router 6 to area 0, then this network, the 10.10.4 network is going to appear, and also the 7.7 network should appear. So now let's go ahead and exit and save it. And after I save that, I need to go to router 5 and do the same. So telnet to router 5 and do the same over here. So area 1, virtual link, 10.10.3.1. And this should work now. So from here, and show IP route OSPF. So it looks like I'm still not able to see that network. So I'm going to tell him to verify that virtual link that I just configured um, to router 6. So it's going to go to router 6. And let's see, group configuration is being updated. So let's go ahead and see, actually show IP route OSPF again. Still not there. Yep, the networks are still not there. So did I do it wrong? Let's go ahead and see how we can configure. Maybe I did it wrong. Actually, I have a, if I go to my drive, I have an example how to configure this. CCNP and OSPF. Network types, no. Let's go to labs, authentication, virtual links. Here we go. Let's see what I did wrong. So it needs to be router ID. Okay, so it is now the IP addresses. It needs to be, yeah, I did it right, but we need to assign it. It needs to be the router ID instead of the IP address. So let's go ahead and configure that. Let's go ahead to DNS3 again, and I'm going to go to my router 5, show IP, or let's just do a show run and do a section OSPF. Let's see if my virtual link is there. Yep, my virtual link is there. So let's go ahead and copy this, config T. So I just texting him and I'm telling him that I did it wrong and I'm going to fix it. So he's going to stand by. So let's go ahead and do router OSPF 1 and let's do a no, and let's do this virtual link over here, and then let's do the virtual link again, and we actually need to assign it to the router ID. But before I do that, let's do show IP OSPF neighbor so I can get that router ID. So the router ID for router 6 is 6 So let's go ahead and paste it and change this right here to 6 and then N. Let's go ahead and save it. Then after I save it, I'm going to remote into router 6 and fix that there as well. Show IP or show run section OSPF, and here it is. It is configure run. So let's go ahead and config T, router OSPF port ID 1, and from over here, let's go ahead and copy this. Say no to negate that. No, and then after that, what I need to do, let's go ahead and find out the neighbor, um, the router ID for router 6, or the router ID for router 5. Show IP OSPF neighbor, and it is 5.5.5.5. So let's go ahead and do area 1 virtual link 5.5.5.5, and then let's go ahead and save it. And then I'm going to remote into router 5 and see if we can see that 7.7.7 loopback address and also this 10.10.10.4.2. Now let's go ahead and go to router 5 to verify our configuration. And now you can see it over here that we have the network 7.7.7, and we also see that 10.10.4.0 network. Okay, the intra area network over here. So now, if I let's just go and save it, exit out of here, and try to turn it to 7.7.7.7 network. There we go. So now I'm able to turn it into it. So it looks like it is working, guys. So this is it for this video. It took me a little while longer than I thought it was going to be, but hey, it is working the way I wanted it. So in the next video, I'm going to be configure IGRP authentication, and I'm going to do some probably roadmaps, prefix list, and a little bit more in the upcoming videos. So stay tuned to my upcoming videos. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys do not follow me on Twitter, hey, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at TCNA Daily Tips. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.